William Shakespeare is widely regarded as one of the most influential writers in the history of the English language and world literature. His plays and poems have been studied, performed, and translated for centuries, shaping theatrical traditions and literary expression across cultures. Writing during the late 16th and early 17th centuries, he contributed significantly to the development of English drama at a time when the theatre was becoming a central part of urban life in England. His body of work reflects both the creative energy of the period and the broader cultural transformations of the English Renaissance. Shakespeare was baptized on 26 April 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon, a market town in Warwickshire, England. His exact date of birth is not recorded, but it is traditionally observed on 23 April. He was the son of John Shakespeare, a local businessman and civic official, and Mary Arden, who came from a family of landowners. Growing up in Stratford-upon-Avon, he would have experienced the rhythms of provincial life while also being connected to wider social and economic networks through his father's public roles. Although no direct records survive detailing his education, it is widely understood that he likely attended the local grammar school, where he would have studied Latin literature and classical authors, subjects that later influenced his writing. In 1582, at the age of 18, Shakespeare married Anne Hathaway, who was several years older than he was. The couple had 3 children, Susanna, and twins Hamnet and Judith. Hamnet died at the age of 11, an event recorded in parish records. While the details of Shakespeare's family life remain limited in surviving documentation, these early experiences formed part of the context in which his later career developed. By the late 1580s or early 1590s, Shakespeare moved to London, where the theatre industry was expanding. London, at that time, was a rapidly growing city, and public playhouses had become popular venues for entertainment. Shakespeare became associated with a group of actors known as the Lord Chamberlain's Men, a company that performed before both public audiences and the royal court. His involvement was not limited to writing. He was also an actor and a shareholder in the company, which gave him a financial stake in its success. Shakespeare's early plays include comedies and histories that demonstrate his familiarity with both English history and classical storytelling traditions. Works such as The Comedy of Errors and The Taming of the Shrew reflect elements of farce and mistaken identity, while his history plays, including those centered on English monarchs, drew from historical chronicles to dramatize the reigns of past rulers. These plays contributed to public interest in England's past and engaged audiences with questions of leadership, authority, and national identity. During the late 1590s, Shakespeare also wrote narrative poems, including Venus and Adonis and The Rape of Lucrece. These works were published and dedicated to a noble patron, reflecting the literary culture of the time, in which patronage played an important role. His poetry displayed skill in language, imagery, and classical reference, further establishing his reputation. As his career progressed, Shakespeare expanded the range and depth of his dramatic works. Around the turn of the 17th century, he wrote several tragedies that are now among his most studied plays. Hamlet, Othello, King Lear, and Macbeth explore themes such as ambition, loyalty, moral conflict, and the consequences of personal decisions. While these works depict political struggles and acts of violence, they do so within the conventions of stage drama and without reliance on graphic detail. Instead, the emphasis lies on character development and the unfolding of complex human motivations. In addition to tragedies, Shakespeare continued to write comedies such as Much Ado About Nothing, As You Like It, and Twelfth Night. These plays often examine themes of love, identity, and social harmony, frequently concluding with reconciliation or marriage. His use of language in these works demonstrates flexibility, ranging from formal verse to prose dialogue, depending on character and context. Through this variety, he was able to appeal to diverse audiences, from courtly viewers to those attending public theaters. The success of the Lord Chamberlain's Men led to the construction of the Globe Theatre in 1999. Shakespeare was a shareholder in this enterprise, which became one of the most well-known playhouses in London. The Globe provided a permanent venue for many of his plays and symbolized the growing stability of the theatrical profession. In 1603, following the accession of King James I, the company received royal patronage and became known as the King's Men. This royal association further strengthened its position within English cultural life. Shakespeare's later works, sometimes referred to as romances or late plays, include The Winter's Tale, Cymbeline, and The Tempest. These plays combine elements of tragedy and comedy, often involving themes of loss and reconciliation. They reflect a mature style in which complex narrative structures are balanced with moments of resolution and renewal. The blending of different dramatic forms illustrates his willingness to experiment and adapt to changing tastes. Throughout his career, Shakespeare wrote approximately 39 plays, along with 154 sonnets and several longer poems. His sonnets, first published in 1609, explore themes such as time, beauty, mortality, and the power of poetry. Structured in a specific 14-line format, they demonstrate technical skill and emotional range. The sonnets have become central to the study of English lyric poetry and continue to be widely read. In addition to his literary achievements, Shakespeare attained a degree of financial success. He invested in property in Stratford-upon-Avon, including the purchase of New Place, one of the town's larger houses. These investments suggest that his theatrical career provided economic stability. He maintained connections with his hometown, even while working primarily in London. Shakespeare appears to have retired to Stratford-upon-Avon around 1613. His death was recorded in April 1616, and he was buried in the chancel of Holy Trinity Church in Stratford. A monument erected in the church commemorates him as a writer. Several years after his death, in 1623, two of his colleagues published a collected edition of his plays, now known as the First Folio. This publication preserved many works that might otherwise have been lost and played a significant role in establishing the canon of his dramatic output. Over the centuries, Shakespeare's influence has extended far beyond England. His plays have been translated into numerous languages and performed in diverse cultural contexts. Scholars have examined his use of language, his portrayal of character, and his engagement with historical and social themes. The English language itself has absorbed many expressions that first appeared in his works. His writing has influenced later authors, playwrights, and poets, contributing to ongoing literary traditions. The historical record of Shakespeare's life contains gaps, and scholars have debated certain aspects of his biography. However, the documentary evidence that survives, including parish records, legal documents, and published works, provides a framework for understanding his career. Academic study continues to explore the contexts in which he wrote and the meanings of his texts, while theatrical practitioners reinterpret his plays for contemporary audiences. In assessing his legacy, it becomes clear that Shakespeare's importance rests not only on the quantity of his output, but also on the adaptability of his works. His plays address enduring themes such as ambition, loyalty, love, authority, and identity, allowing successive generations to find relevance in them. At the same time, they remain rooted in the cultural and historical environment of early modern England.